Hello, adventurers, and welcome back to another edition, Tales of Agartha, Devlog, Chapter 7, Menu System Updates. It has been a minute since I've updated anything. I think the last video I posted was the Gold Rush minigame that I made with my kids. And while that was kind of silly and fun and off the beaten path, it did serve, quite a few functions, and there was a lot of server integrity and collection testing and collection systems and save data that was really essential as part of my networking expansion as I'm starting to build out my multiplayer and specifically like the MMO component of the game, which is really essential. That was a fun test that did a lot of things, but we're back in the world. And today we've got some menu system updates, some quality of life stuff, and some really essential start to finish closed loop systems that make it run and act like a complete game. So let's just dive right in. The first thing that I've wanted to tackle for a while is some updates to my camera system and character control. So currently, if you're not moving, you can left click and orbit around the character. This is good. The character stays exactly as he is. You're just changing the camera to look around the scene. It's pretty intuitive. Left click and drag. You also have the mouse wheel where you can zoom out pretty far to a limit. It has some smart collisions with terrain where it tries to avoid them and tries to look through them so there's never any obstacles in the way. And you can actually zoom in all the way to first person. If you so choose to play first person, there's an option there. It's not a true first person in the sense of like a first person shooter, there's no hands, but it does give you that first person view. If you want to make some recordings or do something like that, you can absolutely do that. The third person is really the designed way to play. And so left click will orbit and right click will actually change the heading of the character. So in motion, if you hold right click and just W, just to run forward, you can actually just steer your guy with pretty intuitive, easy to control controls. And so also if you let go of right click and then you do left click, you can orbit around your character as he's running. And between left click and right click, you get pretty intuitive controls on the character. You can zoom in and out while doing any of that. And so that all works. The current behavior is a feature I call smart camera, and it's actually disabled. And what that means is if I have left mouse orbit and I go to the side, I can play in any orientation. If I want to run backwards, I can leave the camera like that and it stays like that. However, I've added a pretty simple menu system and it was long overdue. So if you go into escape, there's a few options here I'm starting to build out. It's very stand-in, and it's transparent so that you can see the game a little bit while you play. You can still interact and do everything you need to in-game. It doesn't block you. But up here at the top, we have smart camera rotation. So if we just turn that on and close this, what that's going to do is if I orbit the character and then I let go, it will automatically slowly set you back to the rear of the character. So if you're running around, you orbit, you let go, it snaps you back. So that's the smart camera feature. If you like that type of gameplay, you now have that option. Orbit. So basically, anytime I orbit around and let go, it's just going to snap back automatically to the rear of the camera. And some players may like that, some may not, but it's just a simple toggle. If I get rid of it, now I can leave the camera there. If I want it back on, then it will reset. And one thing I wanted to do with my menu system that drives me nuts in so many games is that I wanted it to be quick. So there's no confirm or accept. You just open, make the change, hit escape, toggle, change, done, and it saves it instantly. There's no confirm button. It's just fast. And so that's a nice way to control your camera. Eventually we'll expand this system and I may end up docking it to the side of the screen so we're not blocking the character. That's a future version. For now, it's good enough. It serves its purpose. So that is a preview of the smart camera. It's working pretty nice, and I'm pretty happy with it. The next feature that I needed to design for a while was sound control. I am so tired of this soundtrack. I've been using this like open source audio track as my theme music for quite some time, and I hear it 1,000 times a day. And I never had a way to really silence it in the build, so I finally added some sound control. And so we have two levers. We can silence just the music and keep the sound effects. And the reason you might want that is because the music is music, maybe you don't want music, but you can still have your sound effects in the game. So with this way, you can silence the music but have sound effects. If you want to just silence everything, the sound will kill everything. So now even fireballs and particle effects and VFX don't actually trigger any sound. And again, my idea for the menu system is that it's instant. You don't need to escape and go into a sound menu and then click this and then click confirm and then click back and then click back and then click accept. I don't want any of that. If you don't want sound, you can just kill it. No sound. Done. You want your sound back? Boom. And I may even add like a little button toggle at some point for like instant mute. Obviously there may be some key binding we can expose. All of that is totally possible, but I wanted the menu system to be fast and intuitive, something you could just quickly silence when you need to. And so that's pretty awesome. The big reason for that was my builds. Oh, hey characters. Got some characters in here. They're me. They're just me on my other machine. The reason is when I had these other builds running, I'd have like 4 or 5 audio tracks all looping in my ear, and I needed a way in game to handle that. And so that's a nice update. Finally have sound control. Small thing, nothing groundbreaking, but that's part of the progress. The biggest feature is actually this last one. We now have a full anti-cheat logout system. So, for example, if I want to go back to the main menu to select a new character, before I used to just like instantly close the program and you'd go back and change, but now I actually have this 10-second linger, and this is server authoritative, and what that does is it's kind of anti-cheat, so you can't like run in and loot the treasure and then just like Alt F4 instant close your game and be safe. So you're still gonna like take damage during those 10 seconds. Potentially you'll die when you log in, you'll be dead. And so whether you do it manually where you stay logged in, you're gonna have 10 seconds. If you do force quit Alt F4, your character still stays in the server for 10 seconds and it counts down. And what that does is creates a final save spot of your player position. So let's log back in. Up until this point, I actually didn't have player persistence. Every time you logged out or every time I started the game, I always started in the same spot. You can see I logged right back in where I left off. But previously, every time I launched a game and launched a character, I always started in like my default starter zone. Like when you make a brand new character, you get created like somewhere over here on like my test area with all my items and gear and all this crazy stuff over here. Treasure chests. So anyway, now if I log out, I'll actually come back in right where I left off. So let's go run away and demonstrate that a little bit. Let's go find a cool spot. There's a spot over here with a nice view I want to go get to. If I can remember how to get there. Oh yeah, I think it's right down here. Oh yeah, this nice little bay. So let's log out right here. You know, if you play World of Warcraft or any of those other MMOs, they all have similar features, and a lot of it is like anti-cheat, and so I've integrated that same type of system. So we've logged out, we can switch characters, we can exit the game if we want, or we can just jump right back in. And now that we have that 10-second delay, it allows us to create a server authoritative final save state on your player position. I wrestled how I wanted to handle player position. Do I want to just like constantly every 10 seconds create a save spot like where you are. And I didn't want to do that, so I figured, you know, when you log off, we can just save it at that time. This way, whether you do it manually or through Alt F4, the server will still keep you logged in for those 10 seconds, and on the very last frame of that 10 seconds, it will save your position. So when you log in again, you are right where you are. So you can see when I logged back in, I was in that same spot. And so that's part of the loop that I needed to create. And there's a big announcement, and that's going to be for my next video because this one's getting long. But the reason I had to do all of this menu stuff and create a final loop where I could go to the main menu and quit the game is because there's a big update coming. But we're going to save that for next time. Anyway, that's the updates for this week. Some menu system updates, some smart camera, volume features, and then a safe anti-cheat logout that is server authoritative. Stay tuned. There's another video coming right behind this one, and it's got some big news. So, very exciting. See you next time. Bye-bye for now. Bye-bye.